All right. So here I am with Sanford Green and David Walker, and we're here talking about Bitterroot. And so, please, gentlemen, tell me the premise of Bitterroot. Like, what's it all about?
Well, Bitterroot is it's basically a horror story, adventure story, and it takes place against the backdrop of the Harlem Renaissance. It takes place in 1924. It's about a family of monster hunters, and the premise is that America was built on the disease of racism and hatred, and that it infects people and turns them into like demonic creatures. And our family, they heal these creatures, or they kill these creatures, depending on who in the family you're talking to. So there's sort of a split. There's a rift in the family, and as we meet them, a lot of the family's been killed over the last several years, like during the Red Summer of 1919, and there's very few of them left, just as they're about to face the biggest threat that's ever faced planet Earth. Or I should say, this realm of existence.
Okay, so Sanford, tell me about the art style. I mean, you know, I'm gonna take a little look, and we'll see. I mean, it's a very, it seems like a very.
Well, this is not the art here, but this is. If you want to see some of the art, I'll tell you what. Here's some of the originals here.
Oh yeah.
And if you want, you can look at. You get an exclusive, man. It's not finished yet, but this is a 5-cover spread that we're doing.
Oh wow!
So that's issue 1's cover. I'm not really making this work too well.
No
issue
worries. No worries.
Issue 2's cover.
Oh, so it's a spread between
All 5.
Oh, wow. I'm going to have to back up. That's terrific. So tell me, because, you know, when I'm seeing this kind of a big splash like this, I'm thinking about, you know, the classic Marvel, but also, you know, I'm thinking of good times. You know, that big painting. You know what I'm saying?
It's Ernie Barnes.
Yes, Ernie Barnes. And so, you know,
they're not really having a good time right here, though. That's the thing.
No.
But I'll tell you what, they're doing this, you know, one because it's their duty, or I should say their I guess you want to say their mission in life is to be able to not be able, but to do like what David just said, and that's to hunt, capture, possibly cure, maybe even kill these creatures. And I think that's the thing that makes our story, because there's a lot of stories out there in terms of the monster aspect, you know, tied in with whatever genre, you know. But we have something I think that's unique because one of the setting, the time period, you know, the Harlem Renaissance, which we did a lot of research. We tried to find out if there was anything out there that was in the realm of what we were doing in terms of the Harlem. We couldn't find too many things out there, which we're very excited.
Because we're the freshest kids.
And we're the fresh kids. So I was very excited to know that, you know, we actually have something that's pretty unique, and to be able to tie in this fantastical creature, you know, things that go bump in the night, that aspect of it, maybe even, you know, possibly some supernatural magic, steampunk technology, all that stuff is what we're tied into all of that. And so that's the thing that, you know, from the design aspect of it, that was definitely one of the things that, you know, we wanted to do to make sure that we captured the fashion of that time period. I did a lot of research. We all did a lot of research on just the look and the feel, the aesthetics of that world, you know, and we just tied it into steampunk and alchemy. So we have both of those aspects as well. So if you're a fan of steampunk, if you're a fan of alchemy, those different genres, tied in with the Harlem Renaissance, with this family, that's what you'll have, a
If
nice...
you're a fan of good comics, you'll like Bitterroot.
Well, the thing
That's
that
the end of the bottom line.
the thing that
Bottom line.
fascinates me about this, what drew me to the story especially, was that like when you had mentioned that there was a illness during that time, that that it looks like you're tying in historical things that had happened and kind of giving it a backstory, like, well, this is the reason why these things were happening, and that also the whole aspect of racism being a disease, being something that can corrupt a soul and destroy a soul. And that sickness that, again, pervades all of society. So, what kind of messages do you think that, you want to, go into about, how that relates to what's going on today, and as opposed to, the historical aspect of, the Harlem Renaissance of black folks, Strivers Row and them coming into their own?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, first and foremost, we're trying to make a really good comic book, right? The Harlem Renaissance was late teens into the 1920s. Was an exciting time. A lot of creative stuff going on. Poetry, painting, music, dance, theater, and philosophy, academia. At the same time, black folks were still being lynched down in Mississippi, right? So you had this incredible dichotomy of what it meant to be black in America. It's nearly 100 years later, and that dichotomy still exists. We're still making great art. We're still intellectually doing incredible things, and yet we're still being shot down in the streets. We're still being made to be the victims, and we have to prove our own innocence when we're dead, right? But we're not trying to hit people over the head with that. We're just trying to tell a story.
Yeah, I think...
and the most important thing is that I believe if you tell a compelling story and there's a certain amount of subtext there, people will read into it what they want, and they will either see the horror or they'll see the hope. There's a little bit of both in ours, but we're not trying to club people over the head with it. We're just trying to tell a story.
Thank you. I appreciate that, because, people online will try to tell you, well, you have to separate your politics from comics, and it hasn't any place in comics. And I had made the point that some of the best stories in comics are political and do have a political view. So
there's a reason why a couple Jewish guys created Captain America. You know what I'm saying? Everything's political. Okay. Now the question is what do you want to read into it? What do you want to see in it? If we haven't made something that's entertaining, that's our fault. If we've made something that the readers think is too political, that just may be their perception of it. And I can't control that. There's some people who like Coke, there's some people who like Pepsi. Everyone's got their preferences. I like Dr. Pepper. What can I say? You know what I'm saying? So I think at the end of the day, the goal is just to make something that's compelling. That the story's good, that the art is solid, and that people are entertained by what we're doing. And if we fail on that front, then we failed on that front, but I don't think we have.
excellent. And so it debuts November 14th,
Yes,
correct?
yes.
Okay. Wednesdays.
I'm back, guys. Sorry.
No worries. No. You handle your business. Absolutely.
Yep.
So is there anything that you want to let fans know? To make the decision, okay, I'm getting a lot of monthlies. I got a tight budget. There's all kind of variant covers I got to get them. Whatever. So why should I spend my hard-earned on Bitterroot? Why should I do that?
Well, that's a tough question, but I would say because there's nothing else like it. There's really nothing else like it in comics. What myself, Sanford, and Chuck have done is try to put together a comic that all of us would want to read, but that we especially would have liked to read when we were coming up, like maybe around 13, 14 years old. And I just don't know if there's something else out there that's like it. I'd love to see it, and I'll buy it, and I'll hype it, and I'll go online and go, hey, if you like Bitterroot, check out this as well. But I'm not finding it right now. And I think we're addressing things, and we're giving people heroes that I feel we still need. I talk about this all the time. I talk about representation. I talk about visibility. and we've created characters that we wanted to see. And so if you feel like that there aren't, I mean, one of our heroes is a 80-something-year-old black woman who could beat your ass, right? She can.
Don't let her take the hair wrap off.
Yeah.
Take the head wrap off. It's done. It's done.
Or she could cast a spell on you at the same time. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like if you like something like the Harry Potter books, or the Fantastic Beasts movies, or Hellboy, or BPRD, there's a whole lot of things like that. But yet, what we're adding, as the kids would say, a little extra flavor. You know what I'm saying? We cooked it up with special gumbo, some extra hot sauce, and it's something that will appeal to everybody, but in a certain way, it's also for us. Because when you watch the Harry Potter movies or read the books, there ain't a lot of people of color in it.
No.
There ain't a lot of people of color in a lot of these worlds. And that's something that I was always missing as a kid, so that's sort of what we tried to put into this.
So you got that sweet gumbo, side of green, right?
A little extra, Texas Pete in there.
Absolutely.
Spice it up a little bit.
Yeah,
I think people will really enjoy it, and it's multicultural. So
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You don't leave anybody out.
You don't leave
Yeah.
a lot out. And I think the other thing that's also interesting, David spoke about, was, we're talking about, what's in the story, but what's behind the story as well. I mean, we have an all-black creative team,
Yes.
working at, one of the biggest companies in the industry. So that says a lot too. It hasn't been too many creative teams of color like this in a while. Been far and few between. So
And producing work of color.
right, exactly.
That's for us, by us, as they used to say.
Absolutely. FUBU.
Absolutely.
There you go, man.
Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
In parting,
Uh-huh.
make sure you pre-order all the copies of Bitterroot. You go to your local retailer, you tell them, I want Bitterroot, your various variant covers. When the trade paperback comes out, get that too. And in a shameless self-promotion pitch, get a couple extra copies for your friends and family, because they're just going to want to borrow yours, and then you ain't going to get it back. And it's going to be like Purple Rain, okay? I have
here we
owned
go.
more copies of Prince's Purple Rain than any other album ever.
You
And
mean you
why?
gifted Purple Rain?
No, I've loaned it,
No.
and then they steal
It doesn't come back.
And so here's the thing.
His legs every time.
Let me just break this down. This is my final bit of part. If you meet somebody and they don't have their own copy of Purple Rain, especially if it's someone you're trying to get with and they don't have a copy, just run away. Because if they don't have it, they're not for real.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I hear you.
They're not for real. It's going to be the same way with Bitterroot. We will be, oh, I love Bitterroot. Can I borrow your copy? And then you're never going to see it again. So I'm just saying. I'm not saying, but I'm just saying.
Bitterroot.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.